My game week 27 transfer has been made. Now it's time to finalise my chip strategy and whether it's captain Erling Haaland or Bukayo Saka. We're going to discuss all of that in today's video. As always, make sure you do drop a like and of course smash that subscribe button. Enough chatting, let's get into today's video. So first up, unless you've been living under a rock, you will know that blank game week 29 has now been announced because of the FA Cup results, and these are the fixtures here for us to note. Burnley versus Brentford, Luton versus Forest, Fulham versus Spurs, and West Ham versus Aston Villa. These are our games in that big blank game week 29, and it's really important to note that because we need to start deciding in game week 27 what kind of direction we want to take our teams in. Are you planning on free hitting in game week 29, or are you planning on potentially wildcarding before, or even doing points hits to field a team in that blank to then wildcard afterwards? Now, first and foremost, things to consider. Do you want a free hit in game week 29? If not, as I've stated, a game week 27 transfer must be for one of these teams. So if you're in that position, you really do need to start buying. And I do think somebody like Spurs is a great team to invest in game week 27. We will come on to the long-term fixtures in a minute. So that is one thing that we do need to note. Another thing is, does a free hit team look any good? I'm going to put up a free hit team here for game week 29 to give us a bit of an idea on what it would actually look like. And it isn't amazing. I don't really see any clean sheets over this period. If there is, then no one's going to get huge returns, I don't think. In terms of goalkeepers, Kaminsky probably the pick of the bunch because of the clean sheet potential and save points. But again, I'm not really expecting too much. But the midfielders is where I think you could get an edge. Triple Spurs midfield does look quite enticing. Maddison, Richarlison and Son. Nobody else will be able to get there with free transfers. It'll be a very unique position. So that would be one benefit. Also, having Jared Bowen alongside an Aston Villa midfielder, whether that be Bailey or Douglas Luiz, looks decent as well. And a front two of Tony and Watkins. But again, you could add in a Luton forward like Adebayo or even somebody like Carlton Morris who easily could come into this team. But that's just a bit of an idea on what the free hit game week 29 team would look like. And you might look at that right now and think, I could get to that team, or that team just doesn't look appealing. And if that is the case, then maybe dead ending your team in game week 29 and then wildcarding afterwards is the right strategy for you. So we do need to consider that. And last up, as I've discussed, the pool of players that we're selecting from for the free hit is not amazing. So remember, blank game week 29 is a really important period for our game week 27 transfers. Let's take a look at the fixtures for either side of this week. So even though considering blank game week 29 is really, really important, I don't actually think we need to completely decide on a chip strategy right now. And that is going to apply to my team. So what I've done here is taken the fixture schedule and I've removed game week 29 to see who are the great teams to target. Now, if you're in a position where you're maybe looking to go for a free hit in game week 29, then this is really important for you because you want to buy from the teams that are at the top of this ticker. And if you do plan on free hitting in game week 29, the real benefit of that is that you can bring in Bournemouth players for game week 27 away against Burnley and the double in game week 28. So that is one real positive. Whereas if you're looking to maybe dead end your team in game week 29, which basically means doing transfers and points hits to field a team in 29, you can't really buy Bournemouth players because of course they blank in game week 29. The only downside of Bournemouth is that outside of Dominic Solanke, I don't really think there are any incredible options. Senesi is on 8 yellow cards, so he's a bit of a worry in defence. I think Neto in goal is a good transfer, but I don't really think Bournemouth are incredible defensively, so I don't think game week 27 is necessarily a great time to buy them. Looking at the other teams, Chelsea, very difficult to invest in right now outside of somebody like a Cole Palmer, so I don't think there is much attraction going for them right now. Spurs is a really important one because take my team for example, I'm looking on potentially just dead ending my team up until game week 29. But even still, Crystal Palace at home in 27, regardless of what chip strategy I want to go for, is a game that I want to target. And somebody like Son, I think is a great transfer this week, regardless on what moves you are making. So looking at this right now, I think it is really important to note what the fixtures are like before and after. For somebody like myself who's looking to dead end in game week 29, I can't get to Bournemouth players, which is a little bit of a worry. But as I mentioned, outside of Dominic Solanke, I don't really feel like I'm missing out on too many assets. Whereas somebody like a Luton are a really good investment because not only do they double in game week 28, they also play in game week 29. So it keeps your chip strategy more flexible over that period. So make sure you do make a note of these fixtures here because they are really important. Somebody like a West Ham is a good example. If you are going to go for them, this game week doesn't feel essential, but game week 28 at home against Burnley is a fantastic time to invest in their players, especially if you're looking to dead end for game week 29. I think it's really important to jump on that Burnley fixture, even if it is for a -4. So with that said, let's get into my team and of course the transfer that I have made. So first up, the goalkeepers. Usually I just jump straight into the defenders, but I do actually think there's a bit of a discussion to be had on which goalkeeper to play. I have probably two of the worst goalkeepers in the game in Dubravka and Areola, and I'm not expecting either necessarily to keep a clean sheet. Previously I had Areola as my goalkeeper. Everton, attacking wise, are okay at home but not incredible. But Dubravka with Newcastle are just crap right now. Clean sheets are few and far between. However, injury to Cunha and now an injury to Hwang, the Wolves attack is getting a little bit depleted each game week that passes. And I do think if there was ever a time for Newcastle to get back on track with a clean sheet, it feels like this game week. So even though I'm not expecting one, I'm going to play Dubravka this week at home against a Wolves attack that really only have Neto as their main man alongside Sarabia. So this is probably the kiss of death, but I think a Newcastle clean sheet could potentially happen this weekend. Moving into the defenders, and we have a little bit of a problem here. So first and foremost, double Arsenal defence. I am more than happy with that. Looking at Sheffield United's home record, I am praying that we do get the double Arsenal clean sheet. I know a lot of the FPL community have gone towards this already, but last week's late consolation goal for Newcastle killed me, and I'm hoping these two can deliver, and if they score, an added bonus. But the real problem for my team is of course going to be Pedro Porro. Now as of right now, we haven't had the press conference from Ange, but it looks like he hasn't been in training, which is not ideal at all. Do I sell him? Not really. I want to keep my team flexible for whatever chip strategy I want to go down, and keeping Pedro Porro does give me the option to at least free hit or not in game week 29. He is a really important player in that strategy. And the good thing about it is, even if he is ruled out, I do have Nathan Ake as my first sub. And to be honest with you, looking at it, I think Man City are going to dominate that game. And I wouldn't be surprised if they did keep a clean sheet against a poor Man United team. I think the only way Man United can hurt them is in transition moments. And with Hwang being out the team, I think that is a real bad thing for that Man United attack. So even though it isn't looking good, I'm pretty content with this situation. I'll start Pedro Porro for the attacking output, and if he doesn't play, I know I've got Ake as my first sub. Okay, moving into the midfielders, and as you can see, we have a new man to the team. Welcome, Son. Hwang's injury going into the weekend. We actually haven't had any clarification from Gary O'Neill to suggest that he is guaranteed to be out. But his recent press conference, I think earlier on in the week after the FA Cup game, did suggest that it'll be a miracle if he can play this weekend. Yes, I am jumping the gun a little bit, but when I look at the fixtures for Spurs, I think Son is just so important over this period. And also with the news of Richarlison potentially, and again, we haven't had the press conference from Ange, being out this weekend, we could see a situation where Son is played as the number 9. And I just don't want to not have a piece of that pie going into the weekend. Yes, Hwang may make a miraculous recovery, but regardless, Son is a perfect player for me to keep my chip strategy flexible. Because as I've discussed already in this video, I haven't completely tied down to a chip strategy. If, for example, I was to field this team and I've gone for this move, I still need points hits to get to a team in game week 29. And if that is the case, all I need is an injury from the likes of Pedro Porro come game week 29 or even a Charlie Taylor, and my team is then decimated down to 8 or 7 players. So we're going for Son. What it does, it targets the immediate fixture, and it also gives me the opportunity to go for a free hit in game week 29 or use transfers and point sits to just dead end to game week 29. If it isn't evident already, I'm just being really flexible this week. So I don't think we need to commit to a chip strategy for my own team this week. And that's why I think it's really nice to go down this route. So Son is in. Outside of that, Foden, Saka, Palmer, more than capable of returning this game week. And hopefully they can deliver the goods. Moving into the forwards, of course, we have Erling Haaland with that brilliant home game against Man United. We will come on to captaincy in a minute on him. Ollie Watkins away against Luton, just a long-term hold, especially with him playing in game week 29, a really important player for our teams. But last up is going to be an interesting one in Dominic Solanke. Now, we've had no confirmation right now whether he is going to be available or not for the weekend, so we do need to monitor that situation. But even if he is a doubt for the weekend, I don't see a world where I sell him. Double game week 28 is really appealing at home against Sheffield United and Luton. If you sell him and then he's fit, you're just going to want him straight back in your FPL team. So for that very reason, unless we get news that Dominic Solanke is out for up to a month, I'm just going to keep him in my team and hope that he starts this game week. If he doesn't start, then I will have either Ake come in for him, or if Ake comes in for Pedro Porro, I will have somebody like a Garnacho, maybe a Charlie Taylor if I think there is a small chance of a Burnley clean sheet, but realistically I don't see that. So that is the team right now. I'm pretty content with the 11. Of course, it does hinge on the injury status of Pedro Porro and Solanke, but I do feel like this game week I have the bench to accommodate if those two players are out. So last up, we need to talk about captaincy. Okay, so looking at captaincy, as you can see on your screens right now, I do currently have the armband on Erling Haaland, but I think it is a really interesting debate this game week regarding Erling Haaland and Bukayo Saka. Now, let's be clear. Arsenal have the better fixture, I think, away against Sheffield United, a team that actually perform worse at home than they do away. We have seen their numbers. I think they ship about 3 goals on average per game, so this is a plum fixture for Arsenal assets. And I do think we are in a situation where we should realistically just be targeting Sheffield United every single game week that we get the opportunity to do so. And realistically as well, with Bukayo Saka, I don't think we really would have gone there as a trusting captain unless he had the run that he's had over the last few weeks. We have seen multiple double-digit returns, and he's gone from a player that we would consider selling to absolute essential in our teams. Now, game week 22 onwards has really been the time where he's hit that run of form. I'm going to put the underlying numbers between game week 22 and game week 26 for both Bukayo Saka and Erling Haaland. Now, again, this is very, very subjective because it is a very small sample size, but you can just see the numbers that Bukayo Saka is putting up. 0.98 XG per 90 compared to Erling Haaland's 0.87. Those are elite numbers. And we need to remember, this is a team as well that are keeping clean sheets, and Bukayo Saka is a midfielder, so he's getting an additional point for a clean sheet and a goal, which is massive when we are looking at captaincy. You can see as well, shot volume, somehow he is keeping up with Erling Haaland, which very few players can do so. And you can also see here, in terms of the expected assists, Bukayo Saka leads the way. So again, it's very much a narrative thing because I'm taking the period where Saka has done really well compared to the period where we would argue Haaland has done pretty poor. I think personally that Saka is an incredible option this week. But I just think Man United are really poor. And I think Man City are going to equally dominate Man United as to what Arsenal will against Sheffield United. And because of that reason, and also watching Haaland score 5 goals against Luton, I just don't think there are many players that have the ceiling that Erling Haaland does in each and every game week. And because of that reason, I am just going to lean towards Erling Haaland. But I do really think there is an argument to go for Bukayo Saka as a bit of a differential captain this week. Please do let me know your thoughts in the comments who you are captaining. So to wrap up, that is how my team is looking for game week 27. To confirm, I have done the transfer of Hee-chan to Son. And my current chip strategy is just to be really flexible. I don't think I need to actually decide what to do this game week. Hee-chan's injury has kind of forced me to bring in Son, but regardless whether I'm free hitting in 29 or not, playing the fixtures in front of us, Son is a brilliant transfer for our teams. So my current plan is to get through game week 27, move into game week 28, and then decide what direction I want to go in. If I plan on dead ending my team into 29, I will then look to invest in somebody like a Jared Bowen for that brilliant Burnley at home fixture, and maybe also bringing in a defender like a Doughty for that double game week in Luton. If I decide to free hit in game week 29, then my strategy kind of changes and maybe I start to target a Bournemouth defender like Senesi in the team. So I'm being really flexible this game week, and I do think if you can be flexible, that is the best route to be. I don't think anybody needs to necessarily commit to their plans this game week based on the fixtures that we have presented in front of us, unless you are looking to wildcard in this game week. And I will be doing a video on the best wildcards, so make sure you do check that out. So that is the team. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and of course, what are your transfers going into this weekend? Yes, guys, okay, that is going to wrap up today's Game Week 27 team selection video. As always, if you want to check out a bit more of a detailed analysis on Game Week 27 and the blank Game Week 29, I really recommend checking out my previous video. I've done a deep dive into all of those subjects, as well as my long-term plans for Game Week 29. So please do check out that video. As always, thank you so much for tuning in. If you can drop a like, smash the subscribe button, it's massively appreciated. And I will see you in the next video. Take care. Cheers.